me with that. Okay, so what are we going to look at? Well, we're going to look at what telephone selling is all about. We're going to unpack it a little bit. We're going to look at understanding the telesales role. So when we get down to the real nub of what you do, what is it? So we're going to talk about that, because in order to understand the why and the how, you first need to understand the what. So we're going to have a little bit to talk about that. We're going to look at the 3 different basic types of telesales call. We're going to look at why the opening is so important, why are we spending time talking and thinking about that today, focusing on it. We're going to look at the customer's journey. It's a yes or a no, isn't it, Jean? No, it's not. It's a slightly longer journey than that. So we're going to look at the different stages of that journey, and as we build our training portfolio, you will find us moving through this customer journey. So I'm going to introduce that journey to you today, their journey in their mind. It's the same journey you go on when you ask to spend money, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Telesales challenges. What particular challenges do you face? What particular challenges does working on a phone actually face you with? So we're going to have a look at those, because we can't circumnavigate them, they do exist. The verbal handshake, what do I mean by that? Is it possible to do some kind of handshake down the phone? It is, but you need to employ certain skills in order to be able to do that. The purpose benefit check, and finally, well, all companies spend a great deal of time and money on buying, reviewing, upgrading what they offer. And it is essential to their commercial success that they do that, and they rely on people like you to tell them what they need in order to operate to their best. It's how business works. I think a lot of telesales people view their job from a point of apology. They feel like an interrupter. All I do, Jean, is interrupt people's days. And if I'm lucky, someone will talk to me. That's not what we've got written on the board, but it's how telesales can sometimes be perceived. And actually, let's be honest, in this 4 walls, it's sometimes how it can feel. But what you need to understand is that your job, companies and business, cannot function without communication, without everything. Business does not stand still. Any business that stands still, especially in this modern day and age, will stagnate and will fail. It has to move forward. How does it do that? It grows, it reviews, it buys, it purchases. How does it do that? It communicates with whom? Sellers of services that it needs. And your service about keeping your staff healthy, fit, insured, valued, all of the lovely things that, a company that does a really good health insurance policy offers to their staff is key, because staff have never been more of a precious asset than they are. I see the customer's journey in stages. This is how I see it. We've got our little customer here. He's sort of scratching his head. He's at work. He doesn't know you're going to call. He's doing his day. He could be the HR manager, he could be the receptionist, he could be the person you're first going to speak to. There he is, doing his day. He doesn't know you're going to call. So at that point, what is his level of interest in what you have to offer him before you've called him? Let's be honest. Zero. So I would call that a point of no interest. So when they pick up the phone and they say hello, at that moment, let's face it, unless you have that lovely call that we were just talking about, I was just thinking about health insurance, and here you are, how perfect is that? When you first call them, you're at this point, and this is why the opening is so important. A good opening, a really good opening, can move the customer to a point of low interest. A good opening can do that. If you fill it with enough of the skills that you've got here, it can do, but it mustn't overload. And actually, if you get straight on the phone and you just start talking, what does the customer do? Let's be honest.
Switch off.
Why? Because they're probably looking in there. You're still going, and they're looking at that person over there. Yeah, no, we're not interested, thank you. And you mark that down on your sheet as a does not need health insurance. Steady on. That's about you. That's not about. So we need to be careful with this person becomes very precious. Very precious. And what we do at this point, when they're at this point of no interest, is also really, really important in the customer. You know what you've got to offer is good. You know it's valuable. You know you're there for a reason. You know that you've probably got something that this customer on the end of the phone needs. Your knowledge is not in doubt. At this point, it's all about their motivation. All you can do is provide the information, the environment, in the right tone and the right pitch, at the right pace, that you start to build up that level of need and the job starts to happen. That's your job, to do that consistently on the phone, every hour of every day that you're here, to generate customer want and customer need. And it starts from here. So we've got a bit of a challenge on our hands at this point, because actually they're at a point of no interest. So what we must make sure that in every call we are active and we're engaged. And that needs to start right from the hello. It's not enough to switch that on when you're 30 seconds in, you've lost them. And you're doing something else while you're talking. Yeah, oh hello, it's so-and-so calling from advert. And they're so important. Remember where they are in the steps. If they sense for 1 minute that they do not have your full attention, just like you, what are they going to do? And you interpret that as all of these things. We can't see them. So we have to account for that. We have to bring that into play. We can't ignore it to what I call justify the call. And we can do that with something called a PBC. A PBC. We're on page 13. The P stands for the purpose of my call. Why I am calling. And this needs to be a short statement. You know, it's not a sale, we're not pitching, it's just a purpose. The purpose of my call. Followed very quickly by a B. I'm a lover of benefits. People buy benefits. They don't buy facts. Why should you listen to me? You need to almost earn the right to go any further in the call. Otherwise they'll cut you off. So why I'm calling, what's in it for you if you listen to me, and is now the right time for me to do what I want to do. Now often people say to me, Jane, if you ask me to tell what, don't put that in there, because they'll take it. If you've done this bit right, this bit is because suddenly they understand that it's a conversation. This bit is necessary. If you put this bit in too early, before these bits, if you've got 5 minutes, no, they'll take it. They'll grab it with both hands. This needs to come in at the right time. Proper verbal handshake. The purpose of my call. What's in it for you? And is now. In summary then, a good opening should sound assured and not apologetic. I'm sorry to disturb you should never feature in your opening. Or I was just calling. I am calling today. Remember that statement, that justifying why you are worth their time. It should sound polite and appreciative of the person on the end of the phone. I can hear you're busy, Joan. Why don't I call back another time? I hear you doing that quite a lot. Well, actually, I'm very busy and I'm on the phone a lot, so it might be more convenient if I call back. And it's about respect. Yes, it is. Yeah, you do that well. It should sound like a conversation between two people, so they should be talking and you should be. It should never sound one-sided. Whenever I hear a telesales person going, and this, blah, 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 I know that the other person on the end of the phone is going, if it doesn't sound like a conversation, they're not engaged. You're not communicating, you're telling and not discussing. You should always start with a verbal handshake. If you miss that bit out, remember the 5-second hump. You risk being right in it and they're like, is this person? You miss the verbal handshake. And remember your purpose benefit check. If you can do everything in your power to make sure the call starts right, you're giving yourself the best possible chance of success.